Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm glad that you could join me today. Today's video is going to be 10 books that I really want to read before the year ends. So before 2025 commences. This is a little bit ambitious, it's a little bit unrealistic, and this is going to be like an edition of this type of video where I actually don't own any of the 10 books on this list. So yeah, that actually makes it even more ambitious, but these are just the 10 books that I would love to own or just read, just have by the end of the year. I'm so intrigued by all 10 of these books, and I would love to either get them on my TBR or read them immediately. So obviously we are in the month of October at the moment, so we've got the rest of October, November and December, which is not a long time at all. I have become quite a slow reader in general as well, and obviously other life commitments like uni starting again, like it does kind of make me not be able to read as much as I was before over summer. But regardless, I'm still a very ambitious person, and I really want to read at least some of the books on this list. I think it's really fun to kind of just make a list of books that you really want to read. Like I was going through Goodreads, I was going through all like the Discover like categories on Goodreads, and it was really fun, honestly, just having a look at what's out there, what grabs my attention, what intrigues me. And on my list I have got a variety of different genres, different authors I've never read from before. We've got fantasy, romance, literary fiction, thriller. You know, we've got a lot on this list that I'm just so intrigued by. So if you have any books as well, like that you want to read by the end of 2024, drop them in the comments. I'd love to know what's on your immediate TBR, because it's actually just very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot on my list, but I've narrowed it down to 10 books to read by the end of 2024. So will I get to these? Fingers crossed. But will I actually get to these? The jury is definitely out, but we can hope. A girl can dream. So I've written them all down on my laptop. I've got 10 books here to go through. I'm going to try not ramble on and on, because that is a tendency, that is something I tend to do. But I've kind of written a brief description that I've like paraphrased from the blurb, and yeah, we're just going to discuss each one. Let me know as well if any of these are on your immediate TBR or if you've read them. I would love to know your opinions. But without further ado, let's get into the 10 books that I would like to read before 2024 ends. First things first, we've got to pop our trusty glasses on, because I very much need them to read the writing on the screen. Okay, so book number 1 on my immediate TBR is Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I'm very sorry if I butcher any of the names of the authors or the book titles. Very sorry. Now this one I have seen so much about. I have seen it everywhere. I've seen it in shop window displays. It just seems like the most kind of like popular literary fiction book of the moment. If it is literary fiction, I'm actually not too sure. I did see as well in Waterstones the other day, they had like a special edition of the book, and usually the cover is like a bright yellow, but they had a gold cover, which was very nice, and that I really want that. So this book actually follows a chef, a cook, and she is like a gourmet chef. She's a very good cook. However, she has been convicted of killing quite a few businessmen by seducing them with her like amazing cooking, her amazing dishes. She's seduced these men and she's been convicted of actually murdering them. So, and this main character is refusing to speak to any press, any journalists. She doesn't want to speak about it at all, except to one journalist who reaches out and actually asks her for the recipe to her famous beef stew. And the main character, she's like, you've got me, you've sold me, I will 100% speak to you because I want to share my cooking. So they do, they start kind of discussing different recipes. It's almost like every week they'll just meet up and speak about food and recipes. And I have heard as well that the way that the food is written about and described, it makes you so hungry because you sat there like, this sounds amazing, and I am very much there for that. But over time, they're not really talking about the murders, they're more so talking about the food. And I think our journalist character starts to kind of change, realise she's quite similar to the main character, and things just start going a little bit like downward spiral. And the whole premise just sounds so unique and so intriguing, and I cannot wait to give that one a go. The next book on my list is Intermezzo by the very, very renowned, famous Sally Rooney, author of Normal People. I am so excited to read Intermezzo. I, first of all, love the cover. Whatever designer did that cover, they did an amazing job because it's absolutely gorgeous. And second of all, I love Sally Rooney's writing. I love Normal People. I did read Beautiful World, Where Are You? I didn't really enjoy that one, but I really did enjoy Normal People, as did many. So this one follows two brothers. One brother is a lawyer and he's very successful. He's just got like very charismatic. He's got this great life, it seems, from the outside. And he's like entertaining multiple girlfriends. He's trying to keep them all like entertained. So he's a bit of like a player, and he is essentially self-medicating to deal with grief. And he is the older brother. And then we've got the younger brother who is a chess player, a professional chess player. He's a bit of a loner. He doesn't really have too many friends, and yeah, he is kind of just doing his thing. He's not as popular as his older brother, and he's often compared to him, I think. And then this younger brother has met an older woman who is also dealing with quite a lot of things, and they kind of connect over that, and that's how he is essentially dealing with his grief. But the book as a whole follows two brothers grieving. It follows how two brothers are grieving over the same thing but in two completely different ways, and how their personalities affect how they deal with the grief, I'm pretty sure. And I just feel like it sounds so interesting and quite impactful in a way. And like I said, I love Sally Rooney's writing, so I'm sure that she has done this story a great justice. Like, I feel like it's going to be really hard hitting and quite emotional, so I'm very excited to give that one a go. Our next book is a little bit different from me because I have never read a Richard Osman book before. However, his latest release has just come out and it is called We Solve Murders. And yeah, he is the very kind of popular author of, is it the Thursday Murder Club? It's a series of 4 books and it followed this group of people solving murders in a club, I'm assuming. I've never read that series, but I would like to start reading his books, and I feel like what better way than to read his newest release. So this is about Steve, who is a retired guy. He loves his routines. He's got like quite a chill, quiet life, and he likes that. He's just like living in his own little bubble. He loves it. And then it follows Amy, his daughter-in-law. She is a private security officer and she is currently on an island looking after and trying to protect this famous author for some reason, I'm not sure why. And essentially she's on this island and then a body turns up, a bag of cash, and a criminal murderer is trying to get Amy. So she calls the only person that she knows she can trust, which is Steve. And her and Steve are trying to find this criminal, this guy, woman, whoever. They're trying to find them and track them down and solve this weird mystery that's going on. So I feel like it's going to have like an element of humour to it, kind of like almost a wholesomeness to it, because it's daughter-in-law and retired guy Steve, and I feel like it's just going to be quite an intriguing, like you're on the edge of your seat, but at the same time it's more of like a cosy mystery. Correct me if I'm wrong, I've never read a Richard Osman book before, but yeah, he gives me like they'd be almost cozier mystery type vibes, and I'm really in the mood for that. I feel like it would be perfect to read on a rainy day. The next book is very ambitious from me and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. And I have read Yellowface by this author before, really enjoyed it, and I really like the way that they write. However, this book just really intimidates me. However, I'm so intrigued by it. I really, really, really want to say that I've read it and I really just feel like I'll feel so unbelievably smart while reading it and if I finish it. Yeah, but it's also probably the most intimidating book I have ever known about. It seems terrifying, actually. This one is set in 1828 and it follows an orphan named Robin who is brought over to Britain by kind of a mysterious professor, and he spends his childhood learning a multitude of languages in preparation for joining, or like when he starts Oxford, but specifically within Oxford, the School of Translation, which is called Babel, however you pronounce it. And within this translation school, they are able to do this like magical thing called silverworking, and it's basically where they find out the missing parts of that's been lost through translation. And yeah, it's basically like a group of students and they're all kind of doing this magical thing to reach this empire's end goal. And Robin kind of has to face all of these questions, whether he wants to go through this, whether he wants to be a part of it. And yeah, it basically is set in Oxford. It's kind of dark academia vibes mixed with a magical realism element, and I think it just sounds very, very intriguing and very, very in depth, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like R.F. Kuang did a lot of research for this book and I'm very excited to give it a go. Hopefully I will be able to read it and not feel like I'm really stupid. The next book on this list is Rope Me In by Kayla Grossi, and this book is the second book in the Nighthawk Brothers of Nighthawk duology, the Cowboys of Nighthawk series. So this is book 2. I read book 1 a couple of months ago, really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a new small town cowboy romance series, then I highly recommend this one because it was so well written, and I'd never heard of it before, but I'm a big lover of Chestnut Springs. I'm always on the hunt for new small town cowboy romance series, and this one was really good. I really enjoyed it. It dealt with like grief, plus size representation. It was very good. It was very cute, and I was very excited for book 2, and it came out and I just completely forgot to read it, so I really want to get to it before the year ends. This one follows the main guy in book 1's brother, and kind of in book 1 you see that he is a bit on the bad side. He has a bit of a bad reputation, he's a bit of a playboy, he's not really that well liked around town, he kind of gets into fights a lot, he doesn't really help out on the ranch, he's kind of just got this negative character arc going on. He's not happy with his life. So we're following him in this book, and then we're also following a city girl, Presley, and she is new to the town. She's kind of trying to be more impulsive. She's trying to, I guess, spice up her life, and she meets Cade, who is the bad boy around town, and they kind of hit it off, and then I think he's going to try change and be better, like better himself for her, and she's gonna try be more impulsive. She's kind of like good girl bad boy trope, you know, and city girl small town cowboy. But yeah, I really liked the whole town of this book. It's really cute. If you're looking for a new cowboy romance, then I do recommend this series. The next book on the list is, I think, the first fantasy I've mentioned, and it is the very, very, very talked about, the very popular Spark of the Everflame by Penco. This one is currently being traditionally published. It was a indie published like Kindle book, but now she is bringing out the books traditionally published, so I'm happy about that. But I'm really glad that I didn't buy the indie ones, because now I want them all to match, so I'm gonna have to kind of like wait for each one. I have heard this one compared to ACOTAR, which one of my all-time favourite series. I don't know if you can see. I don't think you can see it, but it's on my shelf displayed. When I read ACOTAR, like, take me back to that time in my life, because it was so good. And I wish I could, like, reread it for the first time again. Unreal. If I can find a series that's going to give me those same vibes, that same feel, then sign me up immediately. So this is book 1 in the Kindred's Curse saga, Kindred Curse series. I think there's 4 books. I'm pretty sure it is a completed series, but it basically follows our main character DM, and she's living in this world where it is ruled by the children of the gods, I think. And I don't think that these people are very nice. I think they're like not the best people, and they kind of make the mortal world a living hell. And her mother goes missing, she disappears, so DM gets a chance to go into the descendants world and act as a royal, or whatever she's doing. She gets to enter their world to find out why her mum went missing and uncover some secrets. But she does have to also enroll in the like war that's going on, so we've got war elements, and she's also being watched by the dying king's heir to the throne. So we've got enemies to lovers, slow burn, we've got dragons, magic. It's got like everything going on possible, and I am so excited to read this. Like, this is the series that I am constantly thinking about starting. So I think if there's any books on this list that I will read by the end of the year, it's got to be that series. And it's been a while, it's been a hot minute since I've started a fantasy romance, so I think it's time. Okay, the next book was one that I found when I was doing my little browse of Goodreads, of the Discover section. I've never heard of it before, but it just really captured my attention. It really intrigued me, and it is Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie N. Holmberg. And this one for me, like, I have just never heard of, but it just sounded so cozy and so unique. So it's basically about this guy who inherits a big estate, and he goes there to live. He's not like spoken to his family in years, in like over a century, so he's a bit confused as to why he has inherited this big estate. But he goes there and he's like, this is actually really nice, I think I'm gonna move in. And then once he's decided that, the house essentially locks him in and he can't get out. It's like locked all the doors, all the windows. He's trapped in this enchanted house. And then we have someone who studies this kind of thing, and she goes to the house and says, I'm going to find out how to fix this, how I'm going to unenchant it, and I'm going to move in to do so. So she's moved in. I think we have a subplot of romance, and yeah, it just sounds very intriguing. It sounds very fun, and I think it's kind of set maybe when it's like stormy vibes and like stately home. The aesthetics are going to be there. Next I have Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. I'm so sorry. So this one is basically set over Christmas, which I absolutely need to read it in December, or I'm gonna have to wait till next December. So dramatic, but if you know, you know. So basically this follows Eileen, and she's described as like a young, disturbed individual, and she's kind of got a lot going on in her life. She is working as a secretary at the local boys' prison, and she's also her dad's caretaker, who is an alcoholic. So she's kind of just trapped, and by day she's fantasizing about moving to the city, and by night she is committing crimes. Our girl is committing crimes. She is stealing, she is stalking, and she's also taking care of her father. So she's got a lot going on. She's a little bit crazy, a little bit disturbed. And then we have a new worker who starts work at the prison, and she kind of becomes obsessed and enchanted by this new woman, and they kind of strike a friendship, and it follows that. And it is narrated by Eileen when she's like an old woman, when she's older. And I think it's going to be quite a creepy, eerie vibe, but I'm here for it. And I think it's quite an old book, or oldish. But yeah, I've heard it talked about a lot over the years, and I think it's about time that I give it a go, especially with it being set over Christmas. The next book is by an author that I recently read a book from, and it is A Love Song to Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. I recently read 7 Days in June and really enjoyed the writing style, so I'm very intrigued to read another book by her, because the way that she writes, it just felt very impactful and very kind of poetic. And yeah, I'm just super intrigued to read another book by her. Take a shot for whenever I say intrigued. So this one follows Ricky, who moves to a new town. She kind of moves away from her family, away from her fortune. She just wants to start a fresh life. And she starts that by opening up a flower shop, I believe. And yeah, she's just living her life, that kind of thing. And then she meets one night a attractive man, and they kind of spark up a romance. So it's two strangers becoming lovers, and their lives are kind of interconnected, I think, as well. So I think that it would just be a really nice read, a really good read, quite almost, the way that Tia Williams writes romance is quite deep, I felt, and it was very like romantic and it felt real and authentic, so I'm very excited to read this one. And the last book on this list is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. Now this one is by the same author as Hidden Pictures, which I've heard a lot about recently, and I think this is his new release, or maybe it was released before Hidden Pictures, I'm not too sure. But this one follows Frank, and Frank is kind of estranged from his daughter. They've not spoken in years, and he receives a call or an email from his daughter, and he's like, maybe this is my chance to like make things right. And she's basically inviting him to her wedding, and he's very happy about this, because he just wants to reconnect with his daughter, reconnect with her, and kind of fix their bad relationship. So he goes to the wedding, and it is on a island, and the island is very secluded, very luxurious, and he realizes that she's actually marrying a tech billionaire, so he feels a little bit out of place, and they're on this island, and he's noticing that things are not quite right. She won't really speak to him, he can't really connect with her fiance, and the entire family seems very rude to the staff and the gardeners and things, so he's a bit like, oh, what is going on here? So he's trying to reconnect with his daughter, but also figure out who this family is that she is marrying into. And it is a thriller, so I'm expecting to be like on the edge of my seat, and the whole synopsis of this book sounds very creepy, very eerie, and it feels like there's something that's lurking beneath the surface. So they are all of the 10 books I would love to read by the end of 2024. I'm aware that it's very ambitious and very unlikely for me to read all of these books, but it's fun to just compile a list sometimes, you know? So let me know what books are on your must-read ASAP lists. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.